Hey guys, happy Monday. I hope you're having a good start to your day whenever you're watching this. Perhaps it's later. I'm hitting the iced tea hard this morning. At nearly 9 months pregnant. Yes, I can't believe that either. That's my poison. That's it. I am a pregnant woman that drinks coffee though, but I just have to stagger that throughout the day. So if I'm starting the day with iced tea, it's a little bit rough. We had a great weekend though. We were in Fort Worth, and if you haven't gone to the Fort Worth Zoo, highly recommend it. That's not a news item that you need to know today, but I just love that zoo so much for kids and for adults. And I've been to all the big ones, San Diego Zoo. I grew up in San Francisco. San Francisco is a great zoo. But this one's really good. So just in case, you're traveling, thinking about destinations, places to go, people to see, giraffes to meet, that's one of the places I think you should go. There are really big news items happening this week, so I'm going to take you on a quick trip around the world, condense this as much as I can, because there's a lot of focus externally from America and a lot of focus internally. So let's just start externally, what's going on outside the country that we're involved with. The Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, is traveling today. This was an already scheduled trip that was going to take him to places like India, for example, but he added some extra stops in the Middle East because of what's happening with Iran. So he's in the Middle East today. He's going to end his trip in Korea, where he's going to continue to try to work on these talks with North Korea and denuclearization. It's interesting to talk about North Korea and Iran kind of in the same breath, because the situation that America is in with North Korea and really the rest of the world is having a state that's not involved in diplomatic relations with a lot of people that have nuclear weapons, and it changes the dynamic of the relationship. That's why there's so much concern about Iran getting nuclear weapons, because we already know that Iran is a state sponsor of terror. We know that's not politically disagreed upon, and so the threat of them, that government, the current government, having a nuclear weapon would change the dynamic in a lot of ways, which is what the United States says they're working to prevent through sanctions. So you should know Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is traveling around the world this week. The president is also going to be traveling. There's a huge economic summit. The most powerful economies in the world are coming together for the G20 summit in Japan. That's where the president is going to be speaking with the Chinese president about trade relations, another really big story. So you guys, there's a lot to watch this week as far as our relationship with the United States with the rest of the world. That meeting of the G20 is happening later in the week. So Secretary Pompeo already traveling, the president soon to be traveling. Those are things that you need to know. We'll continue to watch what's happening with Iran. In the meantime, back here at home, we have a lot of questions about immigration. I don't want to forget, though, what's happening in the background, which is moving to the foreground, which is that we're in the political season and Democrats are holding their first debates, you guys, the first debates of the political season this week in Miami. So that's going to be midweek and something to watch for. Some are saying the reason why immigration is such a big deal is because the president wants to make it part of his platform again as he's running for re-election. But we should also mention that we are seeing some historically high numbers at the U.S. southern border, and really immigration has not really fallen off as a major priority of this presidency. So yes, I think there's arguments to be made for that. There's politics involved. I mean, for sure. But this has consistently been an issue over the last several years for this particular administration. Congress has a job to do this week. What they're trying to do, the Senate and the House, is pass a bill that would be around $4.5 billion of your money that would help support efforts at the U.S. southern border. The Senate, led by Republicans, has different priorities than the House, led by the Democrats. They're not in disagreement over the amount of money, but the way that it could be spent. And these lawmakers want to say bye-bye because they're going on July 4th holiday for like 10 days. So they want to get out of town, but they have to pass this bill because there are certain departments that are losing funding. We have an unprecedented amount of family units coming across the U.S. southern border. I think the number for May was around 80,000. I mean, these are historically high numbers. Most of these families are being processed at the border and released on their own recognizance into America. There are some unaccompanied minors, I think in May it was around 11,000, that if they do not have a family member that they can go seek, or a foster family, they're going to a facility. And some of those facilities are running short on funding for different programs. So this is part of what this funding could go to. So that's something that you should know about. I know some of you have seen these reports about children in terrible situations, terrible quote unquote detention centers. I'm looking into that story. I really want you to understand the numbers that we're talking about, though. From my understanding in interviews with the Department of Homeland Security, it's my understanding that most of the people and the children that are crossing the border, adults and children, are being released. The children that are being separated and are held because they were traveling with someone that had a criminal record or was suspected of human smuggling. And quite frankly, the government is not set up to detain or hold anyone at this point with these numbers. That's not an excuse for the treatment that we're hearing about. Please don't get me wrong. I'm looking into it. I just really think that some of the stories are missing the historical data. You know, if there's 11,000 unaccompanied children coming across the border, most of those teenage men or male, if there's 80,000 family units crossing the U.S. southern border in 1 month, some of these stories are focused on a few hundred children in a particular area. And I just want to make sure that we're giving those stories the right context of what's happening. That's all. Not an excuse for what's going on or some of the reports that we're seeing. I want to use caution and prudence because it's really emotional and it's very important. So those are things I think you should know that are happening both outside America, inside America. Also, if you have time today, check out a really cool study that's taking place. Doctors are working on a cancer vaccine. You've heard about that, I'm sure, for several years. You know, it's very difficult. You know, cancer is not the typical sort of drug, virus like the flu. You know, it's different. And so a couple doctors teamed up, one professor and one veterinarian, to study a cancer vaccine on dogs. And it's really cool. From my understanding of the research, you know, the dogs, we don't know of any crazy side effects. They're trying to see, will this prevent cancer rates in dogs, because dogs actually get cancer at the same rate as humans, which I didn't know about until I read about it yesterday. So I thought that was pretty interesting. All right, guys, I hope you have a great day. Let us know if you want us to check out any of the stories. Remember, big stories abroad: Iran, North Korea, the G20 summit. Back here at home, we have political debates. Immigration is the main focus of this week. And we'll continue to watch any developments on those big stories, but try to bring you the other ones that maybe are a little less seen. So let us know if you'd like us to cover anything. info@smarternews.com for email, or direct message us on social media, because we like to read all of your feedback. We really appreciate it. Have a great start to your week. I'll talk to you later.